Hey, everybody. Welcome to Vince on a Monday. Great to have you with us. You really are the best audience anywhere. Glad to have you here with me today. If this is your first time by any chance with us, please like and subscribe and make sure other people see this as well. I think you're going to like what we have to offer. We got a very big show for you today. I want to go through, I'm going to start with some good news today. We'll start with a couple of good news items. And then I need to get into the utter tragedies of the weekend. We just had a lot of death and destruction going on in the United States and certainly around the planet. We're going to break down what we know, what we don't, and what we've learned from all of these things. It's important to employ what you and I might know as the Bongino rule on a lot of these stories because they're just things we don't know right now. In the wake of this tragedy, we're demanding answers, which is what we always do. That's all ahead on this edition of Vince. We will get to it, I promise you. Coming up, Christmas. If you haven't done your Christmas shopping yet, let's get that done. Huh? Now's your chance. We're a week away, a little over a week away. It's coming, baby. It's coming. Let me tell you something, though, as we begin our program. I want to thank the great sponsors who make it possible. ExpressVPN, that's one of our great sponsors. And unfortunately, in this country, privacy, well, it's a luxury. That's a real shame because privacy is a prerequisite to freedom. But who has the luxury of privacy? Not you, not me. Privacy is given to the government. It's no secret the NSA is surveilling us. They're buying your information from data brokers and surveilling every move you make online. But what if I told you there's a way to get your privacy and your freedom back? It's with a product called ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN is an app. It sends 100% of my online activity through secure encrypted servers. And that means that no data broker can see what you do online. And with ExpressVPN, none of your online activity is logged. They have a strict zero logs policy. They can't share your data because they don't have it. And ExpressVPN is very easy to use. It just takes one click, and it works on all of your devices, and you can have it on up to 14 devices at once. Super easy to use. Your privacy is your privacy. It's not anybody else's business. It's yours. Right now, you get an extra 4 months when you use my special link. So go to expressvpn.com/Vince and get 4 extra months of ExpressVPN. That's expressvpn.com/Vince. Yeah, it's been crazy. Before we dive into the tragedies of the weekend, I will give you a quick weekend update because I just want to, and I want you to know what's going on. On Friday night, I had the privilege of going over to the Naval Observatory where the Vice President of the United States lives for a Christmas party. Friday night, the Vice President's office welcomed me. They invited me to come over, and I got a chance to do this event where I was able to see a bunch of people, actually. I saw Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, was there. Megyn Kelly was there. I saw Senator Eric Schmidt. I didn't talk to Senator Tommy Tuberville was there. Saw and talked to Stephen Miller. Who else was there? My friend Ned Ryan. I'm having him on the program soon. He'll be joining us. I did get a chance to talk for a moment with the Vice President of the United States. It was wonderful. And if I could summarize kind of the nature of the conversations, everybody's totally, all the people I talked to at least, they're totally locked in on the business of the country. It's funny, you meet a guy like Stephen Miller, and I've told you this story before, but I always joke that he sort of seems like singularly focused on the illegal immigration crisis in our country. And for as long as I've known him, and I've just met him through the years. I'm not acting like I'm really good friends with him or whatever. But every time I've ever had a conversation with him, no matter what you talk about, it always instantly comes back to, but the border's wide open. We need to stop the illegals. We need to deport all these people from our country. And that was, once again, the nature of my conversation with Stephen Miller when I saw him Friday night. He's very focused on this mission, and they're moving at 1,000 miles per hour to try and get as many illegals out of the country as humanly possible, because he realizes civilizationally the whole country depends on whether or not it has a coherent, cohesive, assimilated American citizenry, and it will collapse if we import the entire third world into our country. Does that make sense? Or as they say, capiche? Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. So good to see Stephen Miller on top of that. Like I said, I saw Kash Patel. I think the FBI is going to be releasing, they have been releasing, but my impression is that they're going to release some epic numbers to close out the year on just how aggressively they've been cleaning up the streets in our country. That's a wonderful thing to hear, too. Love that. Great work by Kash and Dan this year. So we should be getting updates on that subject. It was nice meeting Megyn Kelly. I've never met Megyn Kelly before. That was cool. Said hello to her. Hi, Megan. She was like, oh, hey. She's like, I got to watch the show. I'm like, all right, good. So maybe she's watching this morning. Good morning, Megan. Nice to meet you on Friday. I met her and her husband, Doug. And the coolest thing for me personally, for this, to do something like this, which is like, it's totally cool to get to do, was I got to bring my wife. I got to bring Allison. And Allison, as awesome as it has been through the years, like in terms of my career, just getting to meet the people that I talk to and interview the president of the United States. I've interviewed President Trump a ton. I've met and talked to J.D. Vance a couple of times now. And in so far as all that has happened, my wife has never had a chance to meet any of these guys, like, and been in the same place with any of them. And she never, it's not that she's ever really complained about it, but she just is, oh man, I wish I could meet those guys. Just never happened. Until now, we finally, on Friday, she was with me and we got to meet a lot of people, but we got to meet the Vice President of the United States. And so JD and Usha walk in, it's like a room full of people. They set up this tent outside of JD's house, the Naval Observatory. And everything's like nicely decorated. They've got a military band playing, Army band, wonderful Christmas music. And then eventually some announcer says, ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of the United States and the Second Lady of the United States, Usha Vance. And they come out, and as they're walking past us, my wife goes, oh my gosh, Usha's so beautiful. She looks so pretty. And she did. She looked great. And the two of them walk by us, and then they come over and they say hello. And Allison was just over the moon, which, by the way, top tier Christmas gift. And I think I'm good now. I think I'm settled. It was great. She loved it. And then as the night wore on, a couple things happened. I saw the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. Talked to him. Told him to keep up the great work. I told him, would you please seize some more ships for us, would you? And when you do, I want you to declare, hey, I'm the captain now. I'm the captain now, as you take some more of these ships off of the coast of Venezuela, which is a lot of fun. He seemed like he had a lot of good energy. He was good. He was very good. And then we go from the party. So basically, they have this tent outside, and they have the house nearby. And in order to get to the house, it's very cold out. So they built this like hallway, this tented hallway that goes from the party tent, which apparently Donald Trump had come over. President Trump had come over at one point, and he had seen this tent that they set up. And he told JD, he goes, you need a ballroom. So maybe they'll install a ballroom at the vice president's residence over there at the Naval Observatory. Nice place, away from a lot of the hustle and bustle of downtown D.C. And so we go through this little tunnel. They were offering tours of the house. They're like, hey, anybody wants to take a tour of the first floor of the vice president's house, you can. So I turned to Allison. I was like, hey, you want to go take the tour? And she's like, yeah, definitely. So we walk over to this hallway. We gather ourselves, walk to the hallway. It's pretty late in the night at this point. Like, I think everyone else has already taken the tour. So we walk down this little hallway to head to the house. And as we take the corner to get to the house, it's just the two of us who are walking this hallway. And there's like pictures of the vice president's family and stuff from his time so far in office. Just great stuff. His silly Halloween costume, with the huge wig that he had on. And we're walking up to the house. And as we're about to turn the corner, there's like a little, I don't know what you call it, like a singing group of members, like professional singers of the military, like a glee club or something. Glee club feels trite, but it's like, they're like talented singers, essentially. Like they sing all the different sections. I'm sorry, I'm not super familiar with all this, but like there's obviously like a bass and a tenor and a soprano and all these things. So they're all standing there to sing Christmas carols to the people who are going into the house. And it's just the two of us. So one would assume they're there to like sing for groups, but the two of us walk by, and this dude, one of the dudes just grabs his little tuning whistle and he goes, and then they start singing, oh, Tannenbaum, oh, Tannenbaum. It's like a group of 10 people singing for us. So now what am I supposed to do? Just walk past them? I'm trying to go into the house. So I grab Allison and I turn and we're staring at these people. It's like something out of a comedy movie. There's an entire group of people are singing. And we can't go anywhere. I'd be rude to just blow past them. So we stand there and we listen to them sing this Christmas carol. And it's wonderful. It's really, my wife loved it. She loved it. She was practically singing along. She was singing along by the end of it. But it was really nice. Anyway, so it was a super nice weekend, and I'm sorry if that's oversharing. I just figured you should know. I was like, I ran into a bunch of cool people that you and I like, and got a chance to talk to a bunch of them and give them an attaboy on behalf of this great audience. I did, and it was great. It was super great. And then we were heading out, and we jump on this little bus to get out of the house as we were leaving, and we pile in, and I sit in the only seat that's left on the bus, and I get to the back, and it's Senator Eric Schmidt is right there. And Senator Schmidt from Missouri, I've never met him in person, but we've talked a lot. I've interviewed him a lot through the years. And so I take the open seat. I was like, oh, I'll sit next to the senator. And he looks up at me to see who's this guy who said he knows I'm a senator. He goes, Vince? I go, Senator Schmidt? He goes, I love you. I was like, dude, I love you too. And then I started browbeating him about the blue slip. I was like, yo, tell your colleagues to get rid of the freaking blue slip and get some U.S. attorneys through. How about that? And we talked. He said that he was telling me, he's like, the big problem is like, he's just got a lot of people in the Senate who like sticking with the old thing. They're like they don't have the votes, in other words, to get people through, even in the Republican Party, to get people through. And I was like, well, that's where we come in. That's where I come in. That's where you come in, where basically this great audience just keeps on pressuring members of the Senate and the Republican Party. Get rid of the blue slip. Get prosecutors through, because we need to prosecute these people. James Comey, John Brennan, the whole crew. So don't you worry. I gave my encouragement to a U.S. senator as I saw him, and I talked to him on Friday. So that was excellent. That was excellent, and we'll keep fighting for that. A chorus? It was a chorus? People are saying choir, chorus. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, it was great. All right, let's get into some other good news for you, and then we'll get into some of the tragedies that we have to tackle. And thank you. Clemo says they love the story. Thank you, Clemo. I appreciate it. Okay. We have some Christmas prayers being answered right now, which is a big deal. Christmas prayers are being answered. You remember it was a couple weeks ago in Washington, D.C., there was a terror attack on two members of the National Guard standing just a block away from the White House in Farragut Square. And it was an Afghan national who was screaming Allahu Akbar and then opening fire on these members of the National Guard. Horrific what happened. Horrific. The attacker is currently hospitalized and from the injuries he sustained as he was shot for being a psychopath and stabbed. But also these National Guard members, one of them was, of course, killed. She was murdered in that attack. And the other is recovering. And that's the good news to share with you today. The West Virginia National Guardsman, Andrew Wolf, who was ambushed in Washington, D.C. by that psychopathic gunman, is recovering from his injuries to the point that he's making what they say is miraculous progress. Miraculous progress. The West Virginia Guardsman was left seriously hurt, the New York Post reports, after he was ambushed in D.C. by that gunman. Andrew Wolf, who was in critical condition after the attack, with his survival in doubt, has astonished friends and family members who feared that he wouldn't recover. National Guard member, remember Sarah Beckstrom, 20 years old, was shot dead outside of the White House. She died of her injuries on Thanksgiving Day. But they say that Andrew Wolf, they call him Andy, is making huge improvements. That's the word from Senator Jim Justice of West Virginia. Remember him, the former governor, the former Democrat. They say he's been sitting up. His right side is getting better. He's been sitting in a chair. His right side's been getting better. His mother's been kissing him. She gave him a kiss and everything, said Justice. Wolf has been able to have visits from friends. He's been able to communicate with them in the D.C. hospital room that he's been staying in. And they say he's been unable to speak, but he's communicating using his body. In other words, he's demonstrating he understands what the people around him are saying. He's been laughing with his friends. He's doing better, says Jim Justice. And so, in other words, he's very cognizant of the people who are visiting him and are around him. And so, my heart breaks for both of these families that have to deal with this, the loss of that fine young woman and then the recovery of this young man as he tries to recover from these injuries. It is good news that he's able to communicate, that he's got the mental wherewithal, the capability to communicate and laugh with friends. And they've moved him, they say, to an inpatient rehab facility. So he's moved from that crisis phase, that critical care phase, to now he's out. He's moved to a different hospital entirely, where he's going to be doing rehabilitation to try and recover as much of his capabilities as possible. And this Christmas, I am praying for him. I am praying for him that he can recover entirely. But that is the good news that we start with today, a Christmas miracle that doctors were not anticipating this. That's the report we're getting. His family is saying he's making a miracle recovery. He's way further ahead than anybody expected. And Senator Jim Justice gave a lot of those details to the press this weekend that things are looking up for Andrew Wolf. So God bless him, and thank you so much for serving your country. These guys, we just asked them to go out and try and take care of the country, and they did. There he is. That's Andrew Wolf, the wounded West Virginia National Guardsman. A photo of him on screen right now, rumble.com/Vince. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Appreciate you. All right, coming up, I want to get into the terror attacks we saw this weekend. We had a lot go on. From the troops that were just killed in Syria. We just lost Americans in Syria. Why are we still in Syria? We'll talk about that. We've got the attack in Australia on the Hanukkah celebration. A lot of people killed there. And, of course, we've got Rob Reiner and his wife were just stabbed to death inside of their home in L.A. Craziness. And then this attack at Brown University in Rhode Island, which this attack, I don't know if you've been reading the details or attempting to gather them. Have you been at all annoyed by how little we know from this attack at Brown University? How many people does this gunman have to walk past? How many cameras could possibly have captured his activities? How few details we have at this hour? As I'm talking to you Monday morning, scant information on the man who just led a horrific attack on Brown University. We'll tell you what we know and certainly some of the lessons learned from all of this. That's ahead on this edition of Vince. It is great to have you with us. That's all ahead. All right, let me thank one of our great sponsors right now. MD Hearing Aids is really, really good. A great sponsor of this program and super helpful for my dad, actually. My dad used to miss conversation at family gatherings, couldn't hear everything, especially if the room noise starts to get loud. And I recently surprised him with the MD Hearing Aids a couple months ago, actually. And it's made a huge difference. He can hear stuff. He put these things in. He's like, they actually work really, really well. And so he can hear what the conversation is. He can actually communicate with people on a better level. He's not missing things. This podcast is sponsored by MD Hearing. It's 2025. Are you still paying thousands of dollars for hearing aids that barely work? MD Hearing makes high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids with crystal clear sound that are personalized to your hearing profile at a fraction of the cost. Their Neo model costs over 90% less than clinic hearing aids. 90% less. The Neo fits discreetly inside your ear, and now there's the Neo XS, which is the smallest MD hearing aid ever. I love MD Hearing. It's affordable, and you don't sacrifice any quality. There's over 2 million sold, plus a 45-day risk-free trial and 100% money-back guarantee. Get the high-quality, affordable hearing aids you deserve with MD Hearing. Go to shopmdhearing.com. Use the promo code Vince. Get a pair of hearing aids for just $297. Plus, they're adding a free extra charging case, $100 value, just for listeners of Vince, of this program. That's shopmdhearing.com. Use my promo code Vince, and you'll get a pair of hearing aids for just $297. Pretty good. Shopmdhearing.com, promo code Vince. All right. Thank you, MD Hearing. All right. Let's see. Let me take you to this news item first. This is out of Syria. We lose some troops this weekend. We lost 3 Americans. 3 Americans were killed. A terrorist, ISIS terrorist, killed 3 Americans this weekend. And President Trump is vowing to retaliate. The New York Times says that President Trump was vowing on Saturday, of course he was, to retaliate against ISIS, the Islamic State, after an attack in central Syria killed 2 soldiers, 2 of our army soldiers, and a civilian U.S. interpreter, an American. These are the first American casualties in the country since Bashar al-Assad was run out of it. This was an ISIS attack against the United States and Syria in a very dangerous part of Syria. President Trump wrote on Truth Social, there will be very serious retaliation. Now, if you're like me, you want to know, why do we have troops in Syria right now? Why do we have troops? Why are soldiers in Syria right now? Is it really necessary? Why are these guys' lives on the line with these radical terrorists all around them? Can we get our people out of there? Do we really need to be sucked into these hellholes at all times? Is that really required? The soldiers were supporting counterterrorism operations against the Islamic State group in Palmyra, a city in central Syria, where they came under fire from a lone gunman, according to American officials. Syrian security forces, they say, subsequently killed the gunman. 3 American military personnel and 2 members of the Syrian security forces were also wounded in the attack, according to American officials and the Syrian state media. In the aftermath, American helicopters were deployed. They evacuated the wounded to the Al Tanf U.S. base in southeastern Syria, according to Syrian state media. But again, and you can see the map on screen, rumble.com/Vince of the video here of where Palmyra is and Al Tanf military base to the southeast. We got to get our guys out of there. Let's just get our guys out. My hope is that today, if the president of the United States takes some questions, you know, President Trump takes questions all the time, that this is one of the questions put to him today, which is like, hey, we just lost some troops in Syria. Is it really necessary that we have our guys risking their lives in this way? Does it have to be done? Can we, our counterterrorism operations can our allies in the region handle this? Is it really required that U.S. lives be on the line for all of this stuff? Can the Israelis do this? Israel's right there. Can they handle this? Can NATO do any of this? Why does the United States constantly have to have our guys on the line? And now they're dying? They're dying? And like from ISIS people, of all things? I mean, I know President Trump, and he's rightly proud of the fact that they destroyed, for the most part, they decimated what existed of ISIS. But still, you have these like holdout ISIS cells, these crazy terrorists. Our guys should not have their lives on the line. We just lost 3 of them. God bless them and their families, but I don't want them there. I want them out. Unless you can offer a fantastic justification. Let's work towards getting them out of here. Would we? So there's that. That's a huge thing. And then we got Australia. We get a terror attack in Australia this weekend by a Pakistani guy. There's been some dispute over whether or not he was Pakistani born or he's merely an Australian of Pakistani descent, but it hardly matters to me. I don't fundamentally care about that. The guy was a terrorist. These guys were clearly Islamic extremists. It was a father and a son, and they opened fire on a Hanukkah celebration. As you know, Hanukkah began yesterday, and they opened fire on a Hanukkah celebration in Australia. Bondi Beach is where this attack took place, and a lot of people got killed yesterday, this weekend. 15 people got killed this weekend. And it was a father and a son that opened fire. And you can see there's video footage of these guys opening fire. And the sequence of events has been a little unclear, but it looks like the guys jumped out of their car. They had some guns on them. They were firing from a small bridge at the revelers, the people who were doing this Hanukkah celebration. And at one point, you do see an unarmed civilian. This is awful. Unarmed. Nobody had guns at all. They have an unarmed civilian sprints at this one dude who's on the ground. He had basically gotten off the bridge, came down to the ground, and he's trying to open fire on people. And this guy sprints at him, tackles him from behind, and wrests the gun away from him. It was a total act of heroism, but it's psychotic that there's no guns to fire back. Watch this. Cut 1. Here's that moment where this dude tries to save the day.
We do believe we have some vision coming in of one of those gunmen being tackled. We hope to get that to you shortly. Chris, we'll leave it there. This is the vision of one of
guy
the
runs up on
being
him.
Tackled, I believe, by a hero, a civilian, not
he
a
aims the
officer,
gun.
not a
he should discharge it.
But a civilian who has rushed the gunman from behind, seized his weapon, turned the weapon on him, and has had the courage to not only do that, but the presence of mind not to open fire in that situation.
The presence of mind.
And now he is no doubt calling for backup, getting this man surrounded and making sure there is no chance he can get away. But we do believe the vision you are seeing there is of the gunman. A second gunman, Tom, is that your understanding? That is a second gunman up on the bridge, now trying to protect the other gunman who has just been stripped of his weapon.
Yes. So that is the most incredible vision I think I've ever
Nightmare.
seen.
All right. So you can see, look, thanks guys. Look, you can see if you're watching the footage, you can see this, but I'll just describe for those of you who are listening to the podcast. He tackles one of the gunmen, kind of tackles him, gets over the top of his back, wrests the gun away from him, aims the weapon at the guy, and instead of firing it, basically gets the guy to walk away from him. And then he quickly leans the firearm up against a tree, presumably because he doesn't want cops to think that he's the gunman. But in the midst of all this, the guy, the terrorist, his fellow terrorist, is firing from the bridge in the direction of the dude who just took the gun away. And clearly, the bad guys both get their weapons back. They both have the weapons. They both take to the top of the bridge. And in footage I'm about to show you, they continue to keep firing until after many, many minutes. It's like, guys, if you saw some of the social media video, it's like 10 straight minutes of these guys firing from a bridge and nobody stops them. Well, they don't have any sharpshooters in the country? No cop can take a shot and hit these guys? Eventually, they take them down. Take a look at what's going on the bridge as these guys continue to fire. Here's cut 2A. Check this out. Here's the guys up on the bridge. They keep ducking behind the barricade. They're firing. Eventually, cops do get a shot on one of the guys, and they take him out. You'll see this shot in a moment. Boom, he's down. The other dude just continues to fire. These guys decided they were just going to go until they got shot dead. That apparently was the plan. So the second guy keeps firing as well, and this goes on for minutes. After the first dude went down, it was nearly 2 minutes before the second dude takes a shot, gets hit. Watch this. Cops finally take him down. It looks like he took either dove down or took a shot. The second one hit him.
Yeah, they got him.
Hear a bunch of Aussies yelling.
He's down, he's down.
Fuck yeah.
He's down.
Yeah, they were super excited that the guy was finally down. Crazy. So there's video footage of all of this. These guys have just been, they were just killing tons of people. And they finally took that dude down. And okay, I'm glad that the attack was stopped. But why did it take so long? Let's explore some of the basics of this. One super basic element is, as many of you know, in 1996, Australia disarmed its population forcibly through gun confiscation. They call it mandatory buyback. And I love it's a big euphemism for we confiscate your guns. Mandatory means you don't have a choice. Buyback, as if the government sold you the gun in the first place. What do you mean buy back? You're taking it from me, and you're giving me some measly, quote, compensation for taking away my right to defend myself? And so Australia got disarmed. Now, does that mean there are no guns in Australia? No, it doesn't mean that. But it means that the population is, in many cases, sitting ducks, that they've been put into that situation by their government. And here we have a situation where these guys are firing for an endless amount of time. They kill 15 people during this Hanukkah celebration. Cops are not showing up in time. Nobody's opening fire. These guys are just having free reign as they get to kill a bunch of human beings. And one dude tries to wrest that gun away. One dude, he's unarmed. He places himself at total risk in an attempt to do that. No guns to fire back? I'm sorry. The problem is not too many guns. The problem is too few guns. Nobody was there to defend themselves. And I'm seeing some footage here. I want to show you something. I have some footage here of one of the survivors, a guy who survived this horrific terror attack. He spoke to the press. They were interviewing him, and he described how awful it was not to have anybody rescue them. He said it was 20 minutes of chaos, and nobody was firing back. Watch this video. Check this out.
Can you tell me what happened?
Yes, there was two shooters, one on the bridge, one under the bridge. Just started to shoot for 20 minutes. They shoot, change magazine and just shoot. Simple as that. 20 minutes was 4 policemen there. Nobody gave fire back. Nothing. Like they froze. It looked like 20 minutes. And they shoot. The guy changed magazine. I look at him all the time. I was with 2 of my babies under me, and I look at that, and it's just rifle and a pistol.
Oh.
Just shoot. And the other one was under. They started to come close to the audience. One of the people took his rifle and shoot him. That's one of them. That's what I saw. I didn't know how much I saw, but...
Who were they targeting?
Oh, all the crowd. Anyone. Jewish. Just shoot. Doesn't matter who.
Oh.
Men, all kids, everyone. Was no...
Did they say anything?
I couldn't hear. The shooting was so loud, I couldn't hear if they say... I was too far.
It's always hard for survivors, eyewitnesses, to give you accurate depictions of time. You may notice, he may have the timing of it wrong, but the truth is, we saw endless amounts of video footage. It showed that this was a very long time, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 10, whatever the amount of time is. It was pure chaos, and nobody's shooting back. Nobody. And what are they saying on Australia now? How do they react to this? You know how this goes. As Americans, we're very familiar with this conversation, but just imagine in a place like Australia with the insane governance that they have, just imagine what they're saying today. I've got the update on that, and then we've got to explore what just happened in the United States of America. This attack on Brown University. I'm going to go over the details we know from that as well. There's a lot to get to on this edition of Vince. You know, Christmas used to mean something very simple. It meant the birth of Christ. And in my house, it still does. It's the birth of Jesus Christ. And it's a time of year where family can gather around the table and have real conversation, and hard work can be rewarded with a little time to breathe. But these days, everybody's looking for the easy way out. Not our friends at Beam. Beam is a company proudly founded in America and run by people who share our values: hard work, integrity, and delivering results. And that's why I want to tell you about Beam's Dream Powder. It's a healthy nighttime blend. It's packed with science-backed ingredients that are shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on each new day. Dream is made up of a powerful blend of all natural ingredients: reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, melatonin. So if you've been waiting for the right time to try Dream, well, this is it, baby. Go to shopbeam.com/Vince Show. Use the code Vince Show and take advantage of my exclusive offer for up to 40% off Beam's Dream Powder. So with my discount code Vince Show, you can get their best-selling Dream Powder for just $39. Go to shopbeam.com/Vince Show today. That's shopbeam.com/Vince Show. Beam's wonderful. Thank you for sponsoring the program and for being amazing. And you also know the name Blackout Coffee. They're proudly the official coffee of all of us here at Silverlock. There's a reason for that. This is bold, unapologetic, America First coffee. It's roasted fresh right here in America. Not any of that junk you get at a grocery store. No, Blackout Coffee delivers rich, high-quality roasts that actually taste like freedom. And now you can set it and you can forget it with auto refill and recurring delivery. It's pretty amazing. So you don't run out. You don't have any of those watered-down backups. Your coffee is delivered fresh on your schedule. You get your favorite roast exactly when you want it. Pick your favorite roast, how often you want it delivered, and not only do you get that discount, you also get double the rewards and free shipping right to your doorstep. So it's perfect. It's perfect, and it is a perfect cup of coffee. It tastes so good. So here's what you need to do. Get yours. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Vince. Use the code Vince. That's VINCE. Get 20% off your first order. Whether into the bold dark roast, the flavored coffee, or even instant, Blackout's got your back. Real coffee, no compromise. Blackoutcoffee.com/Vince. Get yours now. Thank you, Blackout. Thanks for being great. So, Australia is subjected to this attack. Witnesses, survivors of the attack say there was nobody there to shoot back. So one would think, if you were a common sense person, if you're the kind of person who assessed a security threat like this, you might say to yourself, well, we need people to defend the innocent. We need the innocent to be able to defend themselves. One might think that you would arrive at that conclusion. That's not what Australia is arriving at. Instead, they're instantly doing what Democrats in the United States do, which is attempting to exploit this to disarm good people in Australia. Here's the AP report this morning. Australia to tighten gun laws after the Bondi Beach Hanukkah massacre. Tighten. Not make it easier for people to defend themselves. Make it more difficult for people to defend themselves. That's the plan. AP, Australia leaders promised Monday to immediately overhaul already tough gun control laws after a mass shooting targeted a Hanukkah celebration on Sydney's Bondi Beach. Among the new measures being proposed would be a limit on the number of guns someone can own and a review of licenses held over time. They say this comes after, they say that this would be a significant update to their landmark National Firearms Agreement, which virtually banned rapid-fire rifles. What is a rapid-fire rifle, you idiots in the press? After a gunman killed 35 people in Tasmania in 1996, galvanizing the country into action. Okay, so did disarming the whole population have any impact on stopping bad guys from using guns illegally? No, it didn't. You guys are idiots. You're idiots. You just had Islamic terrorism. The problem isn't the guns. It's the psychotic Islamic extremists and the disarmed population who's in no position to defend itself. You nut jobs. So they're trying to disarm human beings yet again. How about no? I'm glad I don't live in Australia, but I just want to make the core point. I don't want to see anybody gunned down. I would like to see innocent people be able to defend themselves. And this brings us to what just happened at Brown University this weekend. Unfortunately, a similar situation. Brown University in Rhode Island is a gun-free zone. Gun-free zone. And as a result, it means that the students who were sitting inside of an economics class this weekend, studying for their exams, were sitting ducks. There was nobody to defend them. There was nobody to shoot back when a bad guy with ill intent goes into the classroom and begins opening fire on the students, killing 2 of them and wounding at least 9 more. That's the story out of Brown University this weekend. The people, let me start with what we know. We know the identities of the 2 people who were killed. Among the dead was a Brown University sophomore by the name of Ella Cook. She is the vice president of the Brown College Republicans. She was just killed in this attack. And her pastor at her church in Birmingham, Alabama, revealed to the congregation this weekend that she was among the dead. Here's cut 7, the pastor revealing that Ella Cook has passed away.
Many of you heard about the tragedy which happened at Brown University, the shootings which took place, and a number of young people who died. And sadly, tragically, one of those people is one of our parishioners. Ella Cook was one of those. Richard and Anna Cook's daughter, Hooker, and Mary Hamner's sister was one of those. And for those of you who knew her, who know her, she was a just incredibly grounded and generous and faithful and bright light, both here at the Advent over many years as she was engaged and involved in our worship and in our community, and as she served here at the church and in the wider community. In all sincerity, just a tremendous Ella, a tremendous and bright light, and there at Brown University as well in the time that she was there, was such a light and such a witness. And as we gather as a people today, of course, we remember the words from John's Gospel: the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not, and the darkness will not overcome it.
She seems like a beautiful young lady through and through. Beautiful on the outside, of course. And for those of you watching rumble.com/Vince, we had her image up on the screen. And beautiful on the inside. She's all of her friends have spoken very well of her, and her church is filled with sorrow at her passing. And we pray for her, and we pray for her family for sure. But Ella Cook, that sophomore, was killed at Brown this weekend. She wasn't alone. There was also an Uzbek national who was killed. His name is Muhammad Aziz Umarzakov. They describe him as kind-hearted, a kind-hearted young man. I have his, let me see if I can pull his image up here. This is his image. He was studying to become a neurosurgeon at the school. Again, this is an economics class that the 2 of them were in. It was study that they were doing. There was a teacher's assistant who was leading this event. The professor was not there. The TA, a 21-year-old, was leading the session this Saturday when that gunman walked in and began opening fire on the class. People began running for cover. They say that people who were in the middle of the classroom were the most vulnerable because it was difficult for them to get away from the chaos and get to an exit to get out of the room. But these 2 young people, just at the very beginnings of their lives, working on getting educated to start their careers, gunned down. 9 others were injured, at least 9 others were injured and are recovering from their wounds, hopefully. We pray for all of them. But there's rampant speculation going on right now because at the moment, as I'm talking to you, it's 10:43 Eastern time Monday morning, and there is a massive vacuum of information right now, a massive vacuum. And let me emphasize a couple of details. This is important for us to think about. And believe me, I've spent a lot of time researching the known details here. And here's some of the things we do and don't know. We know that they were attacked. We know that these 2 were killed. We know their identities. Ella, the young lady who I was just mentioning, she is, of course, the vice president of the College Republicans. The College Republicans of America have released a statement saying that they are devastated that she was lost in this attack. There's been a lot of speculation this weekend that she was targeted because she's a college Republican. In other words, that this was left-wing violence perpetrated against her and the small group of students who consider themselves college Republicans at Brown University. Now, that may very well be the case, but it is early. So let's wait to find out what the hell actually happened, and then we'll make assessments from there. I can tell you right now, somebody with very vile intent did something horrific And we are trying to figure out where the hell that guy is. More on that in a moment. Also, the suspect, there's claims by eyewitnesses that he was yelling something incomprehensible, something they weren't sure what he said. The teacher's assistant spoke to a number of outlets, including the New York Times, and said that he was shouting something, but nobody's given you an actual description. No direct eyewitness has given you a description yet, as of this morning, as to what this guy was actually yelling. Now, there are claims going around social media right now that he was yelling Allahu Akbar, and they're being attributed to an eyewitness, but nobody's named the eyewitness. So in other words, could it be possible the guy was yelling that just like so many of these other terror attackers? Yeah, entirely possible. But the reality is you hold on until you actually know something. And then in terms of the authorities, what have they been doing in the midst of all of this? Well, it turns out Brown University has no cameras or something. Or at least if they have cameras, none of them function. What the hell is going on? How is this campus so unguarded and so incapable of defending the students? And I'm not talking, they don't need an army. How about just surveillance equipment of any kind? How about just a security guard or the ability of a student or a teacher or somebody to fire back if a terror attack is going on? None of that. And so we get one shitty camera giving us a silhouette of a dude walking around a corner near the street. Look at this. Here's what the authorities have released. Cut 8. Watch this. Look at this camera shot. We got like nothing. One dude walking away. By the way, you can see his gait is pretty even. It's not like he's got it doesn't look like there's a rifle jammed down a pant leg or anything, like in the Tyler Robinson situation. So this guy walks away. He looks a little stocky, a little wide, but that's it. He's dressed in all black. He's got his right hand in his pocket. Now, what kind of gun did he use? That also has been a subject of some dispute. There were claims that the guy used a rifle. There were other claims that he used a handgun or perhaps multiple handguns in the attack. The claims are all over the place. No clarity, no definition. Additionally, they took somebody into custody this weekend on Sunday. They took a person of interest into custody, and then they acted like, okay, hey, like finally we solved this thing. We got a person of interest in custody. And then they released that guy because apparently he must have had an alibi. That they became satisfied, actually, this is not our suspect. He's not the guy. And so we go back to square one. We've got what? Nothing? And Providence, Rhode Island is run by, I hate to tell you, a series of idiot Democrats. Just people who have no idea what they're doing. Among them is the idiot mayor of Providence, Rhode Island. His name is Brett Smiley. And on Sunday night, late last night, he was declaring that the community is safe and there's nothing to worry about. I'm sorry, what? Wait a second. You just had a guy go in, he shot up the university, killed 2 people, injured 9, and then disappeared. You have no idea who the suspect is. You don't have anybody in custody. You are not giving the public any reasonable leads. There's no security footage anywhere, nothing that we can use right now. This is crazy. And so here's the idiot mayor of Providence, Rhode Island last night trying to comfort people that everything's totally fine. Nothing to worry about. Watch this.
Since the initial call came in at 4:05 a day and a half ago, we have not received a single additional specific threat to the Brown community, to the Providence community, to the Rhode Island community. And so police had and appreciated the flexibility and to have fewer people on the streets to be able to do their job. And there is no reason that we are not recommending at this time a new shelter in place. We do not feel it is necessary. As I mentioned at the outset, in order to provide an enhanced sense of safety, you will see an enhanced law enforcement presence in Providence and on the Brown campus. But that is so that people can have the confidence and comfort to still take their kids to school tomorrow, to if Brown's canceled classes for the rest of the semester.
This guy's just making it up as he goes along. He has no idea what the status of the safety threat is. None. He's just like, everything's fine. Everyone just go about your lives. Everything will be perfectly fine. You don't know anything, actually. So stop pretending like you do. Just say out loud, we don't know where this person is. We're asking people to be vigilant and to report anything that they see that they think is suspicious or concerning. How hard is that? Why do you have to make shit up? What is wrong with these people? How do you become mayor in the first place? That's what I want to know. So that's what Rhode Island is dealing with right now. Now, yes, the FBI is on this case. That gives me a degree of comfort to know that Dan and Cash are all over this right now. They're working hard to try and solve this thing, to try and augment what Rhode Island is doing to try and track these guys down. But, like, how hard is it? I mean, come on. If you were the mayor of a city, if just randomly you were asked for a day, like, hey, would you be the mayor today? And it just so happened to be the day of the attack. You get up to that microphone, you'd be like, look, I can only tell you what I know, which is not much right now, unfortunately. I want this guy hunted down and caught. And we're demanding that every piece of information we could possibly get be sent to us. If you got Ring video doorbells or any of this other stuff, send us whatever you've got. We need to track this guy down aggressively. In the meantime, we're urging the community to try and stay as safe as possible. Stay vigilant. We don't know where this person is, but the second we find him and get him into custody, this country will be a lot safer. Let's all work on that together. Here's the tip line. Hello? Not hard. Not hard to do. And yet impossible for that guy to get the words out. And so we're left with this garbage today. This garbage. Nothing. And, and then you got, like, here's the police chief in Providence, being asked about the fact that, what, are you serious? You have no cameras? Nothing? There's no angles on this thing? Watch this. This is from yesterday.
Work in the building who say they had some safety concerns, specifically with the lack of cameras in this building where the shooting took place. Do you know if there were cameras in the building? What was the security like in that building?
Again, I'm not going to comment as far as what's at this facility or what you're being told by or what information you're getting from somebody, but I can comment on the fact that we're working with what we have, and obviously we have somebody that's at the police station, a person of interest, and we're going to continue to build that case in order to be able to charge that person.
They didn't have a case or to charge the person. The person wasn't even charged. They released him last night, so we're back to square one. We don't got the guy. Yeah, we need a lot more answers, and very, very quickly. Did you notice the social media response to all this? People are, we're in a tinderbox right now. I was getting text messages last night. People, all sorts of people on social media posts, people are already jumping to conclusions about what this thing is. And we may very well find out that poor Ella was targeted because she's a Republican, and that was what this was all about. But the country's on edge. Do you feel it? People are on edge about all of this, and rightfully so. We don't want people dying in our streets. We want to put a stop to this. And so we are demanding better. We're demanding better. And that idiot mayor, among the things that he's pulling, they're instantly trying to use this thing to disarm Americans. So the mayor, Smiley, yesterday said that, I don't want to talk about this that much. I don't want to talk about this. But here's the thing. We should disarm people. At some point, I'm going to talk about this. And when we do, I know what needs to be done. We need gun control. That's what he heavily implied yesterday. How about no? How about the problem continues to be too few means of defending ourselves? Not too many, you jackass. You're getting people killed for extended periods of time. This doesn't have to happen. And as we've talked about before, when we talk about these shootings, when things like this happen, you realize why you don't hear about mass shootings that kill a ton of people in well-armed states, well-armed, law-abiding states. The reason for that is because those shootings stop before they become massacres. That's just true. John Lott at the Crime Prevention Research Center has been doing studies on this for years. And he says good guys with guns stop massive numbers of mass shootings before they take place. So as a result, the media ignored them. Very few casualties, not worth talking about, or not worth emphasizing that law-abiding citizens actually do great things to help keep this country safe. Well, I'm here to tell you, they do. And we need to encourage more of that and less of the tyranny of these people who constantly trample all over the Second Amendment and then exploit a massacre like we just saw in Brown, an attack like that. We're still notifying next of kin about these poor young people being killed, and you're trying to exploit it to disarm the rest of us? How about get the hell out of here? How about don't have that job? A total disaster. Let me finish with some good news for you, because I need to get out of this because it's too much. And as we get updates on all of this, I'll bring them to you on the big national radio show. We've got that today, and then tomorrow on our next edition of Vince. But I want to end with some good news for you today. President Trump went to the Army-Navy game this weekend in Baltimore, and it was the scene of some amazing things. President Trump was very warmly welcomed by the cadets and the midshipmen there. And it was cool. Listen here as President Trump is welcomed. Well, actually, first, let me start with the national anthem. The national anthem crushes. Here are the cadets and the midshipmen combining forces to just absolutely crush the Star-Spangled Banner, America's national anthem, at the Army-Navy game this weekend. Cut 4, watch. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So good. So stinking good. I listened to that thing like a dozen times this weekend. I just kept playing it. It was so wonderful to see. Just remarkable. Just remarkable. God bless all those young people who are ready to serve their country. And just beautiful. Can we do that for the Super Bowl? Come on now. Don't you think? That was Super Bowl quality. That was one of the single best renditions of the national anthem I've ever heard, actually. Who's up there? Who's at the top of the list? Whitney Houston is up at the top of the list. Chris Stapleton, he crushed it a couple years ago at the Super Bowl. And then the cadets and the midshipmen at West Point in the Naval Academy, pretty good. Pretty good. I would like to see that. That'd be wonderful. Yeah, it gave me chills too, Brightside. I totally agree with you. The anthem crushed. Anyway, great job, guys. Really, really nice job. The President of the United States showed up for the coin toss, and he tossed the coin in a way that only President Trump could do. I heard some people saying it's kind of a knuckleball of a coin toss. Here's President Trump, welcomed by a roaring, enthusiastic crowd. And he invented a new style of coin toss. Everybody got to check it out. Cut 5. Watch this.
Tails has been called. Mr. President, would you do the honor? Are you all set? It is tails. Army, you've won the toss. Which way would you like to kick? Kick it that way. Please rotate around. Army has won the toss. The further option to the second half. Navy would receive the ball. Let's play football.
That's funny. He flipped that thing like an egg in a pan. He just put it flat on his palm, and he threw it up in the air and just let it land on the ground. He's no funny business, no finesse with this guy. Everything's just like, I'm going to knock it out. I'm going to do it. He's funny. He's got his own way of doing everything, doesn't he? You know? Remember when the left was giving him grief for feeding the fish with Shinzo Abe in the koi pond? And then you pull out the video footage, and it shows Shinzo Abe dumped the whole box in, too. He did it a little more gingerly, though, but he dumps the whole box into the water. Then President Trump just overturns the box and dumps all the food into the fish. He's busy, man. He doesn't have time for finessed coin flips. It's just throw it up in the air. Let's get it going. And by the way, it's funny. I like President Trump. No matter what he does, he gets grief. So like the left spent the whole weekend giving him grief for that, as if they're sitting around watching football anyway. It's not even there. They don't even care about this. All they care about is just like attacking Trump. I voted for this. I did too, Sleuth. And he goes out there and he just knuckleballs a coin toss. Crushed it. I think all coin tosses need to happen that way from now on. That's officially the new way to do a coin toss. Everybody does it that way. Carolyn Chippy says, DJT, we don't deserve him. Yeah, you're right. But we got him, which is great, which I love. Really, really nice. Okay, a lot to come today on the big national radio show. We'll give you updates on everything. We'll also keep our eyes on what just happened in Hollywood. Carl Reiner and his wife stabbed to death inside of their own home. What the heck happened there? There's people speculating that a family member may have done this. We'll get into whatever details emerge as that breaking news continues. A chaotic weekend in America, but as always, I feel like it's my job, and we feel like it's our job here at this podcast and on this radio show to try and clarify it as much as humanly possible for you. It's always the game plan, so we'll keep trying it every single day. Great to have you with us. You are the best audience anywhere. The Big National Radio Show today, you can go to thevinshow.com for the local radio listings or watch us on Rumble, rumble.com/Vince. Join the chat. We always got a productive Rumble chat going. Everybody's talking. It's a fantastic time. Can't wait to see you there, and I'm back with you tomorrow. Up next here on Rumble, Steven Crowder. Stand by for that.